Sup, guys? It's Toad back with you for Friday, May 16th. Is that what it is? I don't even know anymore, man. A 1-1 day yesterday, a slight loss. We lost on the Baltimore Orioles as they couldn't score at all. And then we did get an easy win in the hockey game on the Winnipeg Jets. As I'll have to go back and look at what my record is, but hockey playoffs and NBA playoffs have both been good this year, but hockey has been quite good. In that particular series, I've played the side in 4 out of the 5 games in that series and won all 4 of them. So my gauge on that series has been quite good, needless to say, and probably leaning to Dallas to close it out in Dallas in the next game, in Game 6. But we'll talk about it when it happens, which I don't even know when that game is going to be. Let's talk about today, man. And I actually think that I want to kind of talk about actually the WNBA, which maybe I'll just kick it off with a little bit of WNBA, which I don't have any WNBA plays today, but I'm thinking about jumping in, maybe making WNBA plays this season, even though I hate it. It's a terrible style of basketball. It's completely unwatchable, but if you can make money, it makes sense to do it. And a lot of the same situational angles apply. So I was just looking at this Minnesota-Dallas game and thinking like, oh, I kind of want to fade Dallas here because Dallas, for anybody who doesn't know, Dallas was the worst team in the league last year, and they got the number 1 draft pick. So they got Buckers, or however you pronounce her name, that lesbo chick from, actually, she's kind of hot, especially for a lesbo. The chick out of UConn, one of the best players in college basketball. She was the number 1 draft pick, and she's now going to be on Dallas. And that's a situation where you actually want to fade that team to start because the chemistry is just not built up yet. When a team gets like a high draft pick like this and brings them in, like a star player like that, this applies to like any sport really that really is heavily like individual focused, like basketball. The team just doesn't have the chemistry built up yet. And we saw this last year with the Indiana Fever, as they, I believe, were the worst team the previous year. They drafted Caitlin Clark, as everybody knows. And yeah, they had a good season with Caitlin Clark. They were way improved. They made the playoffs, but people might not even remember the start of the season was really rough for them. They lost the first 5 games of the season, and I think they had a 1-8 record to start the season, and they only covered a few of those games as well. They were not playing well early in the season. So again, it takes a while to build up that chemistry, and a lot of times that new player kind of has to get used to it. So there's a lot of like acclimation that has to happen. And still remember, Dallas was the worst team in the WNBA last year. So it's not just like an instantaneous fix here. And Minnesota is, of course, the way better team. Minnesota made the finals last year, and they took it to 5 games against the New York Liberty. I had Minnesota winning the championship in my WNBA bracket last year. I believe I had them over the Liberty. I think my bracket was really good in the WNBA, man. I thought the Lynx were going to do it, and they fell just short. But this is a Minnesota team. They're returning all 5 starters from that team that almost won the championship last year. So this is an experienced team. They know what they're doing, and I think they might actually show up in this game because the last time they played at Dallas, towards the later part of last season, Dallas blew them out on this floor by like 18, 20 points or something. And that was a game where Dallas had a ridiculous shooting performance. This is the WNBA, man. So you usually don't see shooting percentages as high as they are in the NBA. Dallas had a ridiculous shooting percentage in that game. Wouldn't expect anything like that to happen again. So that might keep Minnesota a little bit focused. But my one issue is that usually you do want to fade the team that lost the championship. There's usually that like championship hangover, and that's the spot that Minnesota's in. So it makes me a little bit mad because it's like, oh man, Dallas, I want to fade them like right out of the gate. But if they're playing a team that's also in a negative spot, then I just don't want to do it. So I just have to stay away. We've seen the line drop from 7.5 to 5.5 here. I do think 7.5 was probably too high, as that's what it was in that game against Dallas last year from Minnesota. Of course, Dallas did not have Buckers yet. So 5.5, I mean, it does seem more accurate to me. I would lay the points with Minnesota there, but I just can't quite come around to doing it, man. We'll see as the season progresses what I want to do in the WNBA. I haven't really handicapped the other games today. I'm going to stay away from this for now. And I forgot the WNBA has a Golden State team now. The Valkyries were new last year. I mean, go figure. I mean, I might be betting on this without really knowing a whole lot of information. Then we have the NBA, of course, the men's NBA, the actual basketball association. My Boston Celtics still facing elimination, still without Jason Tatum, who has a ruptured Achilles. I don't even know how much of next season he's going to miss, to be honest, man. I mean, he had the surgical repair right away, but it might never be the same again, man. This is what happens to the Celtics, dude. They play super physical. They have a lot of like missed opportunities, and they wind up losing key players, costing them more championships. I mean, this is exactly what happened in like the 80s too, with like Larry Bird, Kevin McHale. They were just running themselves into the ground, which, I mean, they were like really, really, really playing hard, but it really takes its toll. And yeah, they got a couple of championships there. I think they won 3, together, which this Celtics team has not done and maybe should have done. But still, players, they start running themselves into the ground, and the Celtics really should have won more championships recently. I mean, they were in the finals in 2022. They got ousted by a far inferior team in 2023. The same thing is about to happen here this year. And even if they somehow win this series, which I don't think is going to happen against the Knicks, I mean, I don't think the Celtics are going to be able to last another series here, man, even though they would actually have the home court against Indiana, and did have a decent matchup against Indiana last year. But, man, it's just bad times, man. So I don't know what else to say about that. Just missed opportunities. But in this game, this is at Madison Square Garden, but the Knicks are public still, even though the Celtics just won in a blowout. It seems like the public still just doesn't expect the Celtics to win. 63% of tickets, only 56% of the cash on the Knicks. Knicks sitting at a 2.5-point favorite, which I do think the line is a little bit too high on the Knicks, as the Celtics, in their other road games with Jason Tatum playing, they were like a 5-6 point favorite in this series. So the fact the line is now shifted like 8 points, I mean, that just seems like way too much of an overreaction. I mean, even in the home game without Jason Tatum, the Celtics, there was like a 5-point swing there, and even I thought that was even too much. So an 8-point swing is really just ridiculous. So the books are also kind of adjusting for the other situational factors here, like the zigzag, because of course the Celtics are now coming off a blowout win. And when a team comes off a blowout win, they usually don't do as well. The other team has the adjustments to make. So the Knicks are definitely in the zigzag spot, the adjustment spot. But also they know they have to do this here. They do not want to go back to Boston, even though they did win 2 games in Boston. If this goes to a Game 7, the Celtics would be a home favorite. As the Celtics, even without Jason Tatum, the Celtics are still actually the better team against the Knicks, as the odds makers would mostly tell you, except for the fact that this line is, I still think, just a little bit skewed here. And I think the Knicks are probably getting about 3, maybe even up to 4 points for home court as well. Maybe something like that. A lot of stuff is being factored in here, whereas in the regular season, NBA teams don't get more than about 2 for home court, but in the playoffs, they do get a little bit more. A lot of money coming in on the under as well. 52% of the cash, but 80% of tickets on the over. This has been an over series, but I don't know if we're going to see an over in this particular game. We might see the series kind of regress back to some defensive gameplay here, just bad shooting and whatever coming into this next game here. It remains to be seen, man. The entire outcome really depends on the Celtics' 3-point shooting. I mean, if they're making threes, they have a good chance to win this game. If they're not, then they're not going to win. I mean, that is how the Celtics play. And of course, they had their 2 worst 3-point shooting performances in games 1 and 2 of this series. They've been pretty good since then, and they've only lost 1 game since then, where they shot somewhere in the 30s percentage-wise. The other thing about the Knicks is somehow in that last game in Boston, the Knicks had 40 free throw attempts, which is just ridiculous. And even though they are at home, I don't really expect to see 40 free throw attempts from one team again in this game. So that kind of had an effect on what the final score was. So it might have actually been even more of a blowout for the Celtics. So the Celtics made a ton of three-pointers in that game. But the Knicks had kind of that skewed free throw percentage there. I don't know. But the Celtics should just start fouling, what's his name there? Mitchell Robinson, is that his name? The Celtics should just intentionally foul him every time, man. Just hack a Shaq. I mean, that guy literally throws up air balls from the free throw line. It's insane. He's the worst free throw shooter in the NBA, maybe in NBA history. All right. But yeah, those are my feelings on that. Lean to the Knicks just because I don't like the situation at all. Unfortunately, we may be holding my funeral for the Celtics. I don't even want to talk about it again, man. So that's the slight lean there. NHL, there's one game between Toronto and Florida. Florida is now up 3-2 as they've won 3 games in a row, just one at Toronto. They're going to have to close it out here, man. They do not want to have to go to a game 7, have to go back up to Canada. They do not want that. Florida is the better team in the series, even though they fell down 0-2 early in the series. They've been the better team since then, of course. I thought Toronto might be the right way to look at home in that previous game, and that was not the case at all, as Florida won the game 6-1, I believe. Florida, definitely the better team. They're a big favorite here. Normally, I would say that you don't want to take the team that just won in just by a monster blowout score like Florida just did, but Florida is the better team. They're at home here. They're undefeated at home in the series, 2-0. They've been a big favorite like this in the other home games, as the odds makers are telling you. They're the way better team, sitting at up to minus 230 now. 73% of tickets, 86% of cash coming in on them. So the money is coming in on Florida. I still expect Florida to be highly motivated here, as again, they have to close it out here. They do not want to have to go back and play a road game in a do-or-die situation like that. So they got to get it done here. So that is probably still the way that I would lean, would be to Florida. Play them maybe even just to win in regulation or something, because they are the better team. But I don't really want to have my money on it because, again, it is still kind of a spot where Toronto probably will adjust a little bit. But Florida's just the better team, man. Like I said, they have better balance, better defense, better goaltending. Bobrovsky actually was kind of off the first 2 games in the series, and he has been right on since then. I think he is the better goalie over Wall in the series, so that's what we got going on there. MLB, I've got 4 MLB plays today, so I'm actually kind of being focused here and kind of I'm not spraying the board too much. Although the last time I did that a few days ago, I actually had a nice winning day. I think I was 4-1 in baseball that day on Tuesday, so it was good. We got a lot of interleague games here, man. This is the rivalry series event now, where basically almost every team is playing their natural rival in an interleague series, which is kind of crazy. Some of the natural rivals are stupid, but some are obvious, like Chicago and Chicago. This is the one of the Subway series here, White Sox, Cubs. And of course, this is not really that much of a matchup in the series, really, with the Cubs being the way better team, of course. But I actually think this is an interesting game because you got Shane Smith against Cade Horton. The White Sox did play yesterday, and they did lose to Cincinnati, so I was correct about that. Was also correct about Houston, Texas being in a pitcher's duel yesterday. That was an outstanding pitching game if you're into pitching. Unbelievable duel between DeGrom and Hunter Brown. Crazy. But the Cincinnati did finally rise to the top and finally get a win against the Chicago White Sox. White Sox didn't really use that much of their relief staff, though, and with Shane Smith on the mound, he's like the one bright spot of the Chicago White Sox, man. 2.08 ERA, 1.08 whip. He's been pitching really well. He's racking up some strikeouts. Very good numbers overall in the season, really, except his walk number is a little bit high with 15 compared to 38 strikeouts. Still not that bad. Decent strikeout rate. 32 hits and 43 1/3, so not that bad. Fewer hits per innings pitched is good. Cubs, of course, have never seen Shane Smith before. And like I said, when you have a young pitcher going up against a lineup that hasn't faced him before, that lineup tends to struggle a little bit. And yes, the Cubs do have a very good offense, but I think Smith could pitch decently, at least in this game, and kind of hold them down a little bit. Meanwhile, the Cubs have Cade Horton on the mound, and he's one of their top pitching prospects in their organization. He actually pitched once already in a relief appearance, or he was a follower, actually, after they had an opener start this game against the Mets. They brought in Horton. Horton hearing a who there, I guess. They brought Horton in for 4 innings after that to kind of get him acclimated and maybe kind of take a little bit of the pressure off because he didn't have to start the game. And he pitched decently, went 4 innings, allowed 3 earned runs against a pretty good hitting Mets team. 5 strikeouts and no walks is really what looks good here. So that tells you that he was in command of his pitches, man. If he was out there striking guys out and not walking people. Horton is a guy, he throws in the high 90s, even though he is mostly a fastball slider pitcher, but he does have decent stuff, very, very good fastball velocity. So he's another young pitcher who's completely unfamiliar to the opposing lineup. White Sox, of course, their lineup is not good. So Horton probably should have an edge in this game as well. So I like this pitching matchup here, man. So I was like, oh, I want to play an under here. And then you're looking at the total. Wait a minute. The total's sitting at 11.5 in this game. That is an insane total. It's actually up from 11 juice the over to 11.5. But we do see a lot of cash coming in on the under. 57% of tickets on the over, 98% of the cash on the under. I agree with the under. I mean, this pitching matchup, like I just said, I think is very conducive to having a decent advantage to both pitchers here. We're both good young pitchers, both facing lineups who have never seen them before. The problem is, this is Wrigley Field, so you know exactly why the total is this high, and that's because there's 20-mile-an-hour winds blowing out. So that means it is a home run environment. Wrigley Field, the wind matters a lot. Like, you'll see the total differ from 2 to 3 runs in these games at Wrigley Field just based on the wind alone. So it's just crazy, although I would still lean to the under because I think these pitchers are decent enough that I think they can hold the ball in the park for the most part. So I do think that total is definitely too high. Even though usually when you see a total absurdly high like that, the only way to look is actually to go over it because the odds makers know something. I mean, they're not just giving away free money, but in this case, I don't agree with the total being that high. I think it's a nice pitching matchup to look under in that game. So that's the way that I would lean in that game if I was going to play it. Cleveland, Cincinnati, I am going to play this, and I'm going to lay the price with Cleveland on the road against a Cincinnati team that is really struggling. And yes, I know they did just break their loss streak there, so they might have some newfound momentum there, finally beating the White Sox, and they won't be overconfident about that because they're coming out of a bad series. But everything else about this play, the pitching matchup or about this game, I should say, the pitching matchup and the rest spot, I think favors Cleveland. As Cincinnati, they played yesterday, so again, they did have to use at least a couple of relievers in that game, so they're not well rested at least. Cleveland is rested because they didn't play yesterday, and they're not traveling far. I think they were just at home, and now they're going out on the road, and they lost their last home game, so they are in a bit of a focus spot here, man. When you go out on the road after losing your last game at home, or even if you're winning at home and you bring that momentum out on the road, that first road game is usually a nice focus spot. So I like all that. So I do think the situational spot is better for Cleveland. We're looking at having to lay a price on the road. I do think it's actually warranted, but Cincinnati's still really, really struggling. And I don't think that it's going to get that much better for them against Tanner Bibby, who is starting to pitch better now after kind of a rough start to the season. He is still one of Cleveland's best starters, man. Maybe still their best, as the rotation isn't that great. But 1.22 whip, 3.8 ERA, decent stats on the season. Coming off a 7-inning, 1-run showing against Philly, where he didn't walk anybody, so that was good. I mean, his strikeout numbers aren't that high, but over his last 4 starts, he's gone 6, 7, 5, and 7 innings, and he hasn't allowed more than 2 earned runs in any of them. And one was against the Yankees, and one was against Philadelphia. So he faced a couple of good lineups in there, too. So he is starting to turn it on. He had really 2 bad starts in there, and the rest of his starts have been pretty good. Yeah, his walk number's a little bit too high. 31-16 strikeout walk ratio is a little bit concerning. That's too many walks. Strikeout number is a little bit low for 45 innings, but he's not allowing that many hits. 39 hits. And up against Cincinnati, this is where we get it, man. Even though, yes, it is a hitter-friendly park, but of course that's going to affect both pitchers here. And neither pitcher is actually that familiar with pitching in this park, as Brady Singer is new to the Reds this year. So Great American Ballpark, good hitting park. But what I'm looking at here is Tanner Bibby has really good numbers in his career against the Reds. In 31 at-bats, he only had 5 hits off him. 13-2 strikeout walk ratio, 161 average, 406 OPS. So Bibby has dominated the Reds hitters. Brady Singer, on the other hand, we cannot say the same thing. His numbers are actually kind of bad this year, actually, surprisingly, because he's a pretty good pitcher, but 1.32 whip, 4.97 ERA. Not looking good for Singer, and his numbers away have actually been the problem, not at home, which kind of surprises me, because at home you figure he's got to get it adjusted to this hitting ballpark. So yes, I know we are fading a guy who is pitching pretty well at home, but he is also not in good form right now, man. Over his last 2 outings, he only went 8 1/3 innings combined, allowed 11 runs combined, and walked 3 guys and only struck out 3. So he is in really bad form right now. Then 11.88 ERA in May. Not pitching as well right now. His overall number's decent. Strikeout number's decent. Walk number a little bit too high, and the hit number is also decent. But where we kind of get to the crux of the matter here is that against Cleveland's hitters, he has actually really struggled. And not only that, but Cleveland is very familiar with Brady Singer because he was in their division the last few seasons. He was on Kansas City. So Cleveland has seen a ton of Brady Singer, so they know how to hit him. And these numbers are really ridiculous. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a pitcher get dominated this much by an opposing roster in a sample size this big. 122 at bats, 19 to 12 strikeout walk ratio is not good. 418 batting average and 1,077 OPS. That is insane. I don't know how you can have that many at bats against an opposing lineup and still allow numbers that are that ridiculous. So Cleveland completely dominates Brady Singer. And you can get some player props here. I mean, basically, it's throw a dart. I mean, look at these numbers. Will Brennan, 7 for 15 off him. Nolan Jones, 5 for 7. Quan, 9 for 23. Manzardo, 4 for 5. Naylor, 4 for 10. Ramirez, 12 for 27 with 3 home runs and 6 walks. If you want player props, I mean, that's where a lot of the damage is. Santana, 3 for 11. I mean, these guys all do damage against Singer. So we're going Cleveland in this game. The money is pouring in on Cleveland. I mean, I wish we got a little better number on it. It was at minus 110 at one point. It's still a decent enough money line price that I would do it, even though, yeah, it is a little bit tough to lay a money line like this on the road, but I think it is warranted in this case, given the situation and the pitching matchup as I just described. We're up to minus 125 on Cleveland. They're a little bit public. 79% of tickets is the public. They're not going to be on the Cincinnati Reds, man. I mean, they've just been struggling too much. But I still think that the public's not always wrong, and I think they're on the right side here. And we do see the money coming in more so on Cleveland with 89% of the cash. So Cleveland is my first play of the day. What's up, Andrew? Direct deposit was delayed. What's happening? Oh, because, wait, what do you mean you supported my cover? What did you do? I don't even know. I don't have subscriptions turned on, man. But thank you for the support. But I don't know exactly what you're referring to. Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. So we have, we had Cleveland and Cincinnati, the Ohio rivalry. We got the Pennsylvania rivalry here. Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. And I actually have a play on this one too. And I know I'm going to do what I say you shouldn't do and lay a minus 1.5 run line with the favorite at home, which is a little bit more dangerous because they don't get to bat in the bottom of the ninth inning if they're winning. But I'm still going to do it, and both of my run line plays did win the other day, even though, yeah, I got a little bit lucky with the Tatis 2-run walk-off home run for San Diego, but the Texas Rangers one was quite easy against the Colorado Rockies, or easy enough. But we're going to go with Philly here. I think Philly has a big edge in this game. You're having to lay a bit of a price, like I said, so to knock the price down, I think the only way to look at this is the run line. They are public as well with 89% of tickets, but 99% of the cash, and they're up from minus 220 to minus 225. So the money, I think, is coming in on them. Philadelphia, neither team played yesterday, so that is not a concern. Philadelphia is actually just staying at home. Not only that, but they lost really embarrassingly in their last home game, allowing 14 runs to St. Louis. I think you lose 14-7 like that to anybody, you're going to be in a foul mood, I think, and be much, much more focused in the next game. So Philadelphia is in a nice little bit of a bounce-back spot. Pittsburgh is coming off a nice win over the Mets, so they might be feeling a little bit cocky maybe off that game against the Mets, coming into another road series here, although traveling from New York to Philadelphia is basically nothing. But still, I think Pittsburgh's in a slightly worse spot, more of a letdown spot. Philly's in a bounce-back spot, and Philly is already the better team. We know this. I mean, Philadelphia has a way, way better offense. I mean, that's not in question. The bullpens are both pretty bad, so I don't know if there's really much of an advantage one way or the other with the bullpens. But, of course, if you're playing a run line, you got to just play the full game and hope that we're going to get there with Philly's offense and with the starting pitching getting us there. And, yes, starting pitching on the surface looks like you shouldn't be doing this because Pittsburgh has the guy with the better ERA and the better stats. Andrew Heaney, he's having a good season, 3.15 ERA, 1.12 whip. Good stuff, man, but this month he has struggled a bit. He has a 5.59 ERA in 2 starts this month. Only got 9 2/3 innings across those 2 starts. Granted, he faced a couple of tough lineups. San Diego, Atlanta's not that bad either. But actually in his start before that, he struggled too against the Cubs, only going 4 2/3. So the Cubs are a good offense as well, but Phillies are a good offense, man. So it's not like he's facing like a weak offense now. He's actually facing another good offense. And he's struggled in these last 3 games, giving up 4 and 2 earned. Well, 2 earned runs isn't that bad, but the issue is he walked more than he struck out in all 3 games. And he didn't even strike out anybody in the game against the Cubs. So that is a little bit alarming as well. He has a 10-5 strikeout walk ratio over the course of those 3 starts. He's allowed 10 earned runs in whatever that is, 14 innings or so. So really, really bad stats across those, and 17 hits allowed or something like that. So not good stats. He's not in good form right now over his last 3. And against Philadelphia, I don't know if it's going to get any easier. Like I said, he's facing a good lineup, and this lineup actually has hit him well in the past. And they might be a little bit familiar with him because I think he was in the National League for a little while, if I recall. Yeah, he was on Miami. That was a long time ago, though. So actually, never mind. More recently, he was in the AL again, so never mind. But still, for whatever reason, the Phillies have 32 at-bats off him, and they have a 4.4 strikeout walk ratio, 406 average, and 1,066 OPS off him. So Heaney does not have good stats against the Phillies. Ranger Suarez is a guy who, like I said, last year I thought he was overperforming at the beginning of the year, and he definitely got worse after that. But this season so far, I mean, definitely a mixed bag. He had one really bad start against Arizona, who does hit really well, though he still did have a 6-2 strikeout walk ratio there. He had a nice bounce back after that and had a 7-inning, 3-hit shutout with a 5-1 strikeout walk ratio against Cleveland. So he really bounced back with a nice effort there. So overall, his numbers actually aren't terrible, even though a 5.91 ERA doesn't look good. So again, the public might look at this and think, oh my God, Andrew Heaney has a way better ERA in the 3s compared to an ERA of almost 6. And you're getting like that, you're getting them as an underdog. Not that the public is going to want to play Pittsburgh anyway, but still, that might have them shying away from Philadelphia a little bit, laying a price like this. But there is a reason for it. Suarez, 1.22 whip is not that bad. And an 11-3 strikeout walk ratio so far is not that bad. More than 1 strikeout per inning, fewer than 1 hit allowed per inning. So I'm going to kind of give him a pass for that first outing that just wasn't really that good. And against the Pirates lineup, which should be, this is the weakest lineup that Suarez has faced so far this season, man. I mean, Arizona, then Cleveland. He's stepping down in class here to face this Pittsburgh lineup. And in his career, 47 at-bats. Yeah, 17-8 strikeout walk ratio is not great. Too many walks, but he's held him to a 234 average and 643 OPS. So he's held these Pirates hitters to pretty low numbers. So we are going to go with the Phillies in that game. Jays are effing with your money, even though you are one. Well, that might be true, man, because if you don't fall in line with them, they'll come after you, man. Next up, I have another play. 3 straight games I have plays, and I only have 4 plays. So I was looking at this morning. I'm like, man, I was thinking I was going to have like 7, 8 plays, and then I just didn't like really that much else on the board. But I'm going to take the New York Mets plus the underdog price here, man, in this New York, the real, like the official Subway series really is the New York series here, Mets, Yankees, and this is a pretty good one as both teams are pretty good. People are going to hail this as like a World Series preview as well, which is certainly possible. Yankees are actually down from minus 155 to minus 132, so we see a lot of market movement, a lot of market indicators on the Mets, and I do agree with this. 58% of the tickets on the Yankees, with 76% of the cash coming in on the Mets. Grab the Mets as an underdog. Right now, the public is going to be slightly on the Yankees, I think. Yankees are almost always an overvalued commodity, but the line is moving against them, and the public likes both of these teams, so it may not be that significant, but still, it looks like we do have kind of a pros versus Joes scenario setting up here where the public is on the Yankees and the professionals look like they like the Mets. I like the Mets. First of all, the Yankees are returning home from the Pacific Coast, and you know I always say when a team returns home from a road trip like that, a longer-ish road trip, especially one that took them across the country, they get a little bit distracted potentially when they come back because they got family life to return to. Even though, yes, this is a huge series against your crosstown rival, the Mets, but I think the Mets are going to be more motivated for this one too because the Mets have been the worst of the two teams. They're like the little brother of New York, basically for eternity. So I think the Mets do play with that chip on their shoulder when they play against the Yankees, so I like that aspect of it too. But the Yankees, again, might have a little bit of a distraction angle. They're returning home, and the Mets actually have a way better travel spot because they're just staying in New York. They just had a couple of home series, so they have no travel. Basically, I mean, what they have to literally just get on the subway and go up to the Bronx from Flushing or whatever. All right. So much better travel spot for the Mets here. And I like the pitching matchup actually as well. McGill pitching for the Mets. Never thought I would say it because he's a guy that I don't really actually love. 1.25 whip is a little bit high for my liking. 3.1 ERA is good though, and he is pitching well this season. A 52-17 strikeout walk ratio. Really, really nice. In 40 and 2/3 innings pitch, only 34 hits allowed. He's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning. Really high strikeout rate. He's striking out well over 1 per inning. Excellent strikeout rate. He has been a little bit wild over his last couple of starts. He's allowed 4 earned runs in each of them, but maybe I'll give him a little bit of a pass because one of them was against the Chicago Cubs. He did walk too many guys, but his strikeout rate was still really high in those games. So even though he struggled a little bit, I think he is going to show up focused here against the New York Yankees. And he actually has good numbers against the Yankees in his past. I know it's a small sample size, 16 at-bats, and the walks have been an issue still, which that is his one issue is the walks because he's not that easy to hit, and he strikes out a lot of guys. He's just a little bit wild. 5-4 strikeout walk ratio is not great, but in the 16 at-bats, he's held the Yankees to a 125 average and 487 OPS. So he has done pretty well against the Yankees, man, although granted, they might do a little bit better seeing him for a second time or whatever, but I don't think they've seen him for quite a while. So I think McGill is still pretty unfamiliar to them. So I think he actually does have the upper hand. Carlos Rodon, on the other hand, is a guy who I constantly say is just getting way too much shit, even though I am a Yankee hater as a Red Sox fan. I want nothing to do with the Yankees at any point, but I think Rodon just, even from the professional bettors, they've just been shitting on this guy, and I'm like, he's not bad. Like, his numbers are actually quite good this year. 0.97 whip, 3.29 ERA. I mean, what can you badmouth about that? He has too many walks. That's the one thing. Kind of like McGill. He just has a high strikeout rate, a very low hit rate, 67 strikeouts, 33 hits, 20 walks, and 54 and 2/3 innings pitched. So, yeah, the walk number's too high, but he's allowing very few hits. He is a little bit susceptible to the long ball, having allowed 8 so far. So he does allow some home runs, which is a concern. I mean, yes, he does look like he's in good form right now with a 15-1 strikeout walk ratio over his last 2 starts. And in his last 5 starts, he's allowed 0, 0, 2, 0, and 4 earned runs in those starts. But the best offense he faced through all of those was the San Diego Padres. Yes, he did shut them out as well. Sure, he's a good pitcher, in decent form right now, so I do worry about the current form a little bit, but the matchup and the situation and the market seem to all just point to the Mets for me. And Rodon hasn't done as well against the Mets. In 69 at-bats, he's been a bit wild as well. He's been a little bit long ball susceptible, 4 home runs, although 2 of them are Lindor. So if you want some player props, he's 10 for 35 off with 2 home runs, 4 walks. 12-6 overall strikeout walk ratio, not great. 275 average is okay, but 826 OPS getting a little bit into the high range. So I think the situation plus the pitching matchup actually is in favor of the Mets here. We get them as an underdog price, so we will jump in on the Mets. And both teams have pretty good bullpens, too, so I think the bullpen situation is a little bit of a wash. Neither team played yesterday, and yeah, the Yankees have the better bats, but it's not that significant. I don't think as both teams have good offenses as well, so we will grab the Mets in that game. Washington, Baltimore playing that D.C. area rivalry there. I'm not going to play this game. You got Mackenzie Gore pitching for Washington. Nice numbers overall, 3.59 ERA, 1.16 whip, but his walks have been an issue recently. He's been striking out a ton, but walking a lot recently. 16-7 strikeout walk ratio in his last 11 and 2/3 innings pitched in the month of May. I mean, that walk number is ridiculously high, but the strikeout number is also unbelievably high. So he's a guy, he's too wild, and he's striking out a ton. I mean, he's 75 strikeouts already this year, and 52 and 2/3. Insane. And even the 16 walks doesn't even look that bad. So he is definitely a good overall pitcher. Not in the greatest current form, where he's been a little bit too wild. Has been good against the Orioles. 44 at-bats, 227 average, 647 OPS allowed. And he's up against Cade Povich, who we know has been struggling. 5.55 ERA, 1.54 whip. Didn't do that bad in his last outing. Had a 4.0 strikeout walk ratio, even though he allowed 5 runs against the Minnesota Twins. He went 6 innings. That wasn't really that bad of a start. So I think he does still have some potential to improve here, but right now we're not really seeing it. But against Washington, 24 at bats, he's actually done well. 167 average, 450 OPS against them. So actually, both starters kind of decent numbers in the matchup here. So an under could be the way to look here. 84% of tickets, 99% of the cash coming in the under. 8.5 juice to the over is kind of flipped now to a 9 juice to the under. Not flipped, but it's kind of moved up a little bit. But I think the more significant money might actually be coming in the under here. And actually, a lot of money coming in on Baltimore, too, up from minus 115 to minus 125. 92% of the cash on them, but 50% of tickets on Washington. I just don't see it. Both teams did play yesterday, though, and Washington used more of their bullpen. And the issue that I would have with the under or any sort of full game play here is that Washington's bullpen is terrible, as I keep saying. So that does worry me a little bit as far as that's concerned. And that might be some of the reason why Baltimore is actually taking the money on the side there. Is kind of the bullpen situation there. But Baltimore just continues to underperform and cost me yesterday. I've won a couple of plays on Baltimore this year, but yesterday it was not one of them. Detroit and Toronto, I mean, this I think is considered a rivalry too, because it's kind of like the Niagara area rivalry. And this looks like a good pitching matchup to me as well, with Jack Flaherty against Bowden Francis. Flaherty, 4.61 ERA is not good. I mean, he had a bad start last time out, allowed 4 home runs. So he's in pretty bad form right now, which isn't good. Although his strikeout numbers continue to be pretty good, continue to be high, and not a lot of walks. But he has allowed 4 or more in runs in 3 straight starts now. So a little bit iffy there. And a 1.24 whip is getting a little bit high, but still not as indicates that his ERA should not be as bad as it is. Against Toronto, he does have good numbers in 57 at bats, 175 average, 552 OPS. So Flaherty has done well against Toronto. Bowden Francis for Toronto is actually in better form now. Decent strikeout numbers at least. At least his last start was good, I should say. He had a couple of bad starts in a row against Boston, who really lit him up with 5 home runs, which is crazy because his numbers against Boston were good coming into that one. And then 4 earned runs allowed against Cleveland. Kind of bounced back a little bit in a pitcher-friendly park, but maybe that's what it takes to kind of get some of your groove back there. Giving up 3 earned runs to Seattle, who is a hot team recently at the very least. Toronto took care of them, though. Overall, his numbers not good, though. 5.4 ERA, 1.32 whip. But he does have the ability to pitch quite well, as he was really, really good in the second half of last year, but he does seem to be regressing a little bit. But against Detroit, they've only seen him 5 times, and they have 3 strikeouts off him, and they're 0 for 5. So his numbers not that bad either. So lean in this game is also to an under. Don't have a play on this one. It's sitting at 8.5. We do see 68% of tickets, 97% of the cash on the over in that one, though. But my lean would be to the under. Toronto did play yesterday, though, so you do have to worry a little bit about that, although they didn't really use many of their better relief pitchers, as Gaussman he goes long into the game usually. So, again, we'll see what happens. Braves and Red Sox is considered to be a natural rival. The Braves, very early on in their existence, were the Boston Braves before they went to Milwaukee and then Atlanta. This is Chris Sale against Garrett Crochet, so everybody's hyping this up. Oh my God, it's the battle of the ace lefties. But I actually think Crochet might have the upper hand in this one, man. Atlanta did play yesterday, so it's not the greatest spot for them. Yes, they won, and they're traveling up to Boston, so a lot of times when you start a road trip, you are focused. The Red Sox are returning home from a road trip, which isn't the greatest spot, really. You know, I don't like to be on teams, really, returning home from road trips. So I do think I have to stay away from this one because of the situation. But Atlanta did play yesterday while Boston was resting. Although, again, Boston in a little bit of the distraction spot here. Chris Sale, I mean, his numbers really aren't that great this year. 1.41 whip is pretty bad. 3.97 ERA is good, but he's just putting too many men on base. A lot of it actually via the hit, surprisingly, because the 64-13 strikeout walk ratio is quite good. He's still striking out a ton of guys, so he still has this stuff in 47 2/3 innings. Very high strikeout rate, 54 hits, though. He's just putting the ball over the plate too much. I think he's just getting hit too much. And in this game, I don't know how he's going to fare, man, because, yes, he's going to want to do well against the team that let him go, the Red Sox. That is a bit of a motivator for a pitcher, and I don't know if he's faced them since then. Actually, he probably has, because the teams always play each other, so maybe this is not his first time. If this is his first time facing Boston after they let him go, I might feel a little bit differently about this game because Sale might be a little bit more pumped up. But generally against the Boston hitters, he actually hasn't done that well in 47 at bats, 277 average, 840 OPS, 17-9 strikeout walk ratio. So I actually think Crochet is the better of these two pitchers right now, even though Sale won the Cy Young last year. Crochet is certainly a Cy Young candidate right now. He's like 10, 11 years younger than Chris Sale right now. So he's sort of kind of entering his peak right now. And Crochet has been really, really good this year, man. I mean, he only has one start where he allowed more than 2 earned runs. Yeah, his walk number is a little bit too high, but his strikeout number is more than 1 per inning, fewer than 1 hit per inning, 65-21 strikeout walk ratio. Yeah, he's got to get less wild, but 39 hits allowed in 56 innings. He's been very difficult to hit. And against the Braves, they haven't seen that much of him because he's been an American League pitcher. But in 21 at-bats, he's done well against them. 143 average, 536 OPS. So I actually think Crochet does have the upper hand in the starting pitching matchup. If you like him but you don't like the situation, I mean, Boston first 5 innings might be the way to look. But I think because of the situation, we're seeing actually the market indicators are all on Atlanta, with Boston down from -135 to -123. 68% of tickets and only 51% of the cash. So we do actually see Boston being public here, unfortunately, with less of the cash on them and reverse line movement against that. So all the market indicators are on Atlanta. And the money is coming in on the under as well, dropping this from 8 to 8. Juice to the under, 67% of tickets, 89% of the cash on the under. I don't really have a strong disagreement with the under. And that when Atlanta kind of saved a lot of their bullpen yesterday, Red Sox were off. The bats can kind of be a little bit iffy on a team returning over from a road trip. Wow, that line just dropped even further on the Red Sox there. I just worry a little bit about Sale with a high whip this year and numbers that aren't that great against the Red Sox. Tampa and Miami, the Florida rivalry. We got Miami returning home from a road trip as well, where they just went to Chicago, but they did beat the Cubs in the last game, so they might be in a little bit of a letdown spot too, and returning home. So I just can't do anything with Miami here, even though you know me, I kind of like to try to find spots to play Max Meyer, but I'm not going to do it here. Tampa is starting a road trip, or no, they're in the middle of a road trip, going from Toronto down to Miami, so they are traveling, and Tampa is not rested because they played yesterday, so the spot's not great for Tampa either because they played yesterday. They didn't have to use that much of their relief staff yesterday, though, so both bullpens are pretty rested. But Miami not in a great spot either because they're returning home from a road trip. Taj Bradley for Tampa, decent, just mediocre, 4.24 ERA, 1.26 whip. Strikeout walk ratio is actually bad, 35-19, so that is not a good indicator. He doesn't strike out a ton of guys, does walk too many guys. Against Miami, though, small sample size, 13 at-bats. He has done well, 154 average, 431 OPS, so not a whole lot to see there, really. And then Max Meyer, of course, good young pitcher, but he has been struggling recently. Tampa, I believe, has never faced him before. So Meyer, when you have a good young pitcher like this, he should have an advantage against a not great offense that has never seen him before, but I just don't like Meyer's form right now. And I've lost at least a couple of bets that I had on his team or on the unders in these games. He's allowed 5 earned runs in each of the last 3 starts, so he's got to get it together again, man. Because overall, his numbers are good this season. 52-16 strikeout walk ratio in 45 and a third innings. 45 hits allowed is okay, but that strikeout walk ratio is good. He's got talent, got the ability to strike guys out. The long ball has been a problem. 8 home runs allowed, and that's kind of reared its head in the last few games. One of them was against the A's, although it wasn't at that Sacramento home run-friendly stadium there. It was actually in Miami. Still, he's got good stuff, and he should turn it around. So I do think he's probably the better pitcher in the starting pitching matchup, but the situation isn't great for Miami. I'm just going to stay away. And we don't even see it here. It looks like Miami's still listed as undecided here, but I think Miami probably a very small favorite in that one. Yeah, it says here -115 is probably about what you're looking at with an 8.5 total. St. Louis, Kansas City, we got the Missouri rivalry. I don't think either of these teams played yesterday, so they're both rested. We got Palante against Reagans. Palante, kind of a mixed bag, 4.36 ERA, 1.38 whip. I mean, that is certainly not a good whip. Did have a good outing against Washington last time. That was 7 strikeouts, no walks. Went 7 1/3, 2 earned runs. He's at least limited the damage so far. I mean, he hasn't allowed more than 4 earned runs in any start. Isn't a guy that comes in and strikes a lot of guys out. 28-16 strikeout walk ratio is not great. It's too many walks. He is still putting too many men on base. a little bit more than 1 hit per inning. Against Kansas City, Palante, 58 at-bats, has more walks than strikeouts, which is definitely a concern. 14 walks to 12 strikeouts. That is a big-time concern. But 224 average, 703 OPS, so his numbers overall actually aren't that bad, except the walk number is absolutely horrendous against Kansas City. But 7 of the walks are from India, so... And I don't mean from the country of India, Jonathan India. He's not Kumar Rocker, so we will actually see what Palante does. Cole Reagans, I keep saying he's basically the ace of Kansas City, but he started to struggle a little. 4.2 ERA, 1.23 whip after a great start to the season. But his strikeout walk numbers still tell kind of a different story. Still kind of tell you that he is pitching well. 19-4 strikeout walk ratio this month. Almost 2 strikeouts per inning. I mean, that is still good. He is still coming out there and mowing down hitters. 65-13 strikeout walk ratio. 40 2/3 innings pitched. Very high strikeout rate and fewer than 1 hit allowed per inning as well. Against St. Louis, what are his numbers? In 12 at-bats, very small sample size. He's actually walked more than he struck out. 4 strikeouts, 5 walks. I'm less concerned about that in a smaller sample size. 250 average allowed, though, 804 OPS. So his numbers aren't really that amazing there. So I got to stay away from this game. Kansas City, a decent favorite at minus 151, 72% of tickets, but 52% of the cash coming back on the other side on St. Louis. So the professional money actually kind of likes St. Louis and seems to like the over as it's gone up from 8 to 8 juice to the over. 67% of tickets, 98% of the cash coming in on the over. Could be a little bit of a sneaky overplay. There were both pitchers just don't have particularly good numbers against the opposing lineup. So we will see. Houston and Texas, this is going to be a really interesting one, and maybe not anything like what we saw yesterday with Hunter Brown actually pitching the entire way for Houston. He pitched all 8 innings. They didn't use any of their relief pitchers yesterday, so Houston's going to have a rested bullpen that is already a good bullpen. So they do have a bullpen edge in this game slightly, but Texas's bullpen is also good, and Jacob deGrom went 8 innings in their game as well yesterday, went almost the distance, and they used 1 relief pitcher to finish the game off. We got Lance McCullers pitching, and he's coming off probably his worst outing of his career, where he allowed 7 earned runs in a third of an inning, and unfortunately the home crowd was just booing him and heckling him and calling for his family to die. I mean, as I pointed out on the show, it was just disgusting. Like, you can't do that, especially to a guy who won, like, at least 1 championship with your team. I mean, come on, man. And, I mean, this is a career bad outing. Like, McCullers is trying to come back from, like, major injury, man. So, yeah, maybe he doesn't have it anymore, but maybe he is going to start doing better again. I mean, he didn't allow any runs in his first start against the White Sox. Granted, he's just walked too many guys. 6 walks to 4 strikeouts so far in 4 innings pitched. So we will see what happens. I think McCullers is going to get better. I mean, his career numbers suggest that he can't possibly be this bad. Once he gets used to playing again, I think we will see him do decent. But against the Rangers, it might not happen. Only 4 of them have seen him before, but they have done damage. In 35 at-bats, they have a 371 average off him, 978 OPS, 5 strikeouts, 6 walks. Although, if you want to look for player props, hits plus runs plus RBIs, Semien really has done almost all the damage. 9 for 22 off him with 4 walks. And Garcia does have a home run off him. So we'll see what happens, but I would not want to try to have my money on McCullers in this game. Nathan Eovaldi is having a great season for Texas. 1.78 ERA, 0.75 whip. He's dominating this month, too, going 6 and 7 innings in 2 starts, allowing 1 earned run total over those 2 at Boston and at Detroit. Not really easy assignments there either. 14-2 strikeout walk ratio, including his start before that against the A's, and actually the start before that, let's go. He's allowed 2 earned runs combined over the last 22 innings pitched, and he has 29 strikeouts and 3 walks over that span. That is insane. I mean, he is just dominating. He has a 60-5 strikeout walk ratio on the season, only 37 hits allowed, 55 and 2/3. His numbers include, like, all the numbers that you look at, he's like one of the best pitchers in baseball this year. It's unbelievable that he's been this dominant. I mean, I don't think that he can possibly keep this up, but he is a good pitcher. Against Houston, his numbers aren't as good. In 138 at-bats, he's allowed 10 home runs to them, and 7 of them are Altuve, who has 7 home runs, 3 walks, 17 for 52 off him. couple of doubles in there as well. Overall, 275 average against Houston and 851 OPS. So he's been mediocre against Houston. So this might actually be kind of a sneaky overplay, although I really don't want to fade Eovaldi when he's just in dominant form here. But an over could be a little bit of a sneaky play here, especially if you think McCullers is going to struggle. Both lineups actually don't do that badly against these starting pitchers. Texas is installed as a minus 175 favorite here, but their offense isn't as good, but they do hit McCullers well, so they might have a better time of it. The money is coming in on Texas, 54% of the cash, 52% of tickets on Houston, thinking maybe there's value getting them at a big underdog price. 62% of the tickets are on Texas, on the over, and 66% of the cash on the under. So the line is actually flipped to the under. Market indicators on the under, flipping it from 8, juice the over to 8, juice the under. I can't play it under until we see McCullers start doing better. So I might actually slightly lean to the over there. My final play is a total. I have one total. Of course, with me, it's an under. We're going under a very low total of 7.5 here in Minnesota, Milwaukee. And I know Milwaukee's bullpen is terrible. A lot of times you do not want to have an under involving Milwaukee's bullpen, but at least Milwaukee is rested here, so they have all their bullpen arms available here. So that is at least a positive, where they can use their best bullpen arms if they need to. Minnesota did play yesterday, but they didn't use that many of their relief pitchers. They didn't really use any of their good relievers yesterday, so their bullpen is in decent shape, and it's a pretty decent bullpen. Milwaukee's returning home from a road trip, so I like that as well because their bats might be a little bit tired. Minnesota's bats might be a little tired because they played yesterday, so I like how this kind of sets up for an under. Milwaukee might be in a little bit of a distracted spot, having gone to Tampa and Cleveland, and now returning home off of that, having to get back to home life there. And for Minnesota, Joe Ryan is pitching, and he's been really good this year too. 2.74 ERA, 0.83 whip, 54-5 strikeout walk ratio. You want to talk about domination? He has some of the best numbers in baseball too, other than 7 home runs allowed is a little bit dicey, but 2 of them came in 2 starts against it, 5 of the 7 came in 2 starts against Atlanta and Houston. So other than that, he's been really good. That strikeout walk ratio is insane. In 46 innings pitched, 33 hits allowed. He's had full command of his stuff, man. He's been dominating. 15-1 strikeout walk ratio this month. 2 6-inning, 1-run performances against Boston and San Francisco. Not the easiest lineups to face. He's been doing really, really well. And against Milwaukee, more of the same. Good numbers against Milwaukee in 26 at-bats, 6.0 strikeout walk ratio, 231 average, 615 OPS. Milwaukee's got some good bats, but Joe Ryan has done well against them, and they're not really that familiar with them. And speaking of familiarity, Chad Patrick is going for the Brewers, and he's off to a good start in his rookie season, man. 3.19 ERA. His whip is a little bit high at 1.25, 36-14 strikeout walk ratio. Yeah, he's been a little bit wild at times. But 14-3 strikeout walk ratio this month is a little bit better. And yeah, he's had some issues in some games, not going deep into games, but he's really held the opposing offenses in check at the very least, not allowing more than 3 earned runs in any start. He's been fairly decent for them, allowing fewer than 1 hit per inning as well. He's not out there really blowing everybody away, but he's been good enough. And the Twins don't have the greatest offense, and with hitters that have never seen a good young pitcher like this. Again, I think the pitcher has the advantage early on, which I think we've seen Patrick kind of doing that this year, is when he's faced lineups that haven't seen him before. He has, I think, had a little bit of the upper hand there. So I think that's the case here as well. So we're going to go under in the Minnesota-Milwaukee game here. This being the Minnesota versus Wisconsin rivalry, I guess. The money actually strongly indicating on Milwaukee, so that's actually kind of a good sign that Milwaukee's pitching might actually not do us in here. Flip from plus 110 to minus 106, 71% of the cash on Milwaukee, 50% of tickets evenly split, but we do see a big, what looks like a square, sharp divide on the total with 77% of tickets on the over, but 70% of the cash on the under, so I like the under. In this one, of course, that's where I'm going. It looks like that's where the money is, and the total's gone down a little from 8 to 7.5. Juice to the over. You can find under 7.5, I think, at a decent price. Get it under 7.5, man, because 7 is the key number in baseball in totals in this range, because the 7th run is what breaks the 3-3 tie. So that's that rivalry there. Of course, Houston, Texas is the Texas rivalry. Colorado, Arizona is what, like the Mountain Time rivalry. Colorado has Carson Palmquist starting. Is he going to play for the Cincinnati Bengals? What's going on here? Not Carson Palmquist against Corbin Burns. I don't know what we expect out of Palmquist, man. I mean, he's a guy who's making his major league debut. He was kind of in line to be a major league relief pitcher is kind of what he profiled as, because he's mostly a fastball slider pitcher, although so is Horton, who I talked about earlier, for Detroit or whatever. But Palmquist, I think, isn't as good as Horton looking at his numbers overall. He's okay. I mean, he's going to come up and we'll see what he can do, but he gets a tough draw against a really good Arizona offense in an offensive stadium in Chase Field. And Corbin Burns has really started turning it around after a tough start as a Diamondback. He's really starting to click and pitch better. 2.95 ERA, 1.31 whip is still high, but he's allowed no more than, really no more than, actually, he hasn't allowed more than 4 earned runs in any start this entire season, so he really wasn't even that bad to begin with. But his last 3 starts, he hasn't allowed more than 1 earned run, and he's coming off starts against the Mets and the Dodgers, where he went 13 innings, allowing 1 combined run. Even though his walk number is still bad, he's still wild. 33-19 strikeout walk ratio is not that good, but 33 hits allowed in 39 2/3. He's still a good pitcher, man, and he's on the right trajectory here. So I don't mind Corbin Burns. And up against the Rockies, I mean, of course, the Rockies have a terrible offense, especially away from home. Burns has done fine against them in 47 at-bats, 234 average, although 8 walks. So, again, too many walks. 16 strikeouts is good, but too many walks. 728 OPS, getting a little bit into the higher range there. So I'll stay away. But you certainly can't lay minus 400 with the Diamondbacks. I mean, that might be the largest money line we've seen this year so far. I mean, maybe when the Dodgers were hosting Colorado, we saw a bigger one. Minus 400 is insane. You cannot lay minus 400 with any team, really, in Major League Baseball. You just can't do it. But the books are just, they know how bad Colorado is. They're, like, historically bad. So you cannot, like, they will not give you any line going against Colorado, really, depending on what the spot is. But there's just no value in fading them. And I don't even see them on here. Oh, there it is, because Colorado is listed as undecided here. But you're looking at about a minus 400 money line in this game, which is insane. And 9.5 total seems about right in a Arizona game, even though Burns should do well. Then we have a couple of California rivalries to finish it off here. Or actually, no, 2 of them. And then we have Seattle-San Diego. Sorry, I was looking right over that. We have this other West Coast rivalry, I guess, between Seattle and San Diego. I don't know. With 2 pitchers completely unfamiliar to the opposing hitters, with Logan Evans and Steven Kolek. Logan Evans, 6.6 ERA and 1.67 whip. He has not been good so far this season. 11-7 strikeout walk ratio is not inspiring. More than 1 hit per inning. Not good. Steven Kolek, on the other hand, shocked everybody by having a complete game shutout in Coors Field. Even though, yeah, the Rockies can't hit well, but still, a complete game shutout is impressive regardless of how you do it. And in Coors Field makes it a little bit more impressive, which is a very hitter-friendly park. So Kolek has been really good for the Padres across 2 starts at least so far. 0 ERA and .91 whip. He has not been hit hardly at all. Has walked too many guys, 4 walks, but 11 strikeouts, not bad either. But after such a great performance, man, probably the biggest start of his career, the best start of his career, and I don't think he's quite as good as that. I think he's got to be in line for a little bit of regression here, even though he is pitching in a pitcher-friendly park this time. I don't think Kolek is going to come out and do that again, but I don't trust Logan Evans at all, so this actually could be kind of a sneaky over play in this game. Total's just sitting at 8.5. Not a lot of market percentages to read into yet in that one, so I don't know really what I would do with that game otherwise. But maybe an over might be the way to look, but still, when you have 2 pitchers completely unfamiliar to the opposing hitters, I still don't really want to do that either. We have the L.A. rivalry between Anaheim and the Dodgers. Kohanowitz is pitching for Anaheim, and he's a guy that I kind of like, but his walk numbers have just been terrible. 1.49 whip, 5.23 ERA. He doesn't have strikeout stuff either. A 24-18 strikeout walk ratio is just not going to get it done in the majors, man, and more than 1 hit per inning. Putting way too many men on base, man. Even in his last 1-run outing against Baltimore, still walked 4 guys. I mean, he's got to get these walk numbers under control. He hasn't been this bad in the past, but I don't know what's going on with him, man. Dodgers, obviously not an easy draw, although the Dodgers have never seen him before, so maybe he'll do okay, potentially, against an offense that hasn't seen him before, but against a really good hitting lineup like the Dodgers, I'm not expecting a whole lot out of Kohanowitz. May has been the better pitcher this year for the Dodgers. 4.08 ERA, 1.24 whip. He's been decent for them. Had one really bad outing against the Cubs, which on the road against the Cubs, I mean, you can give him a pass for that. The Cubs probably the best offense in baseball, but 33 to 15 strikeout walk ratio is not great, although he's allowed fewer than one hit per inning. May is walking too many guys. He's got to get that under control a little bit. But against Anaheim, who really does not have a whole much of an offense at all, he might be in line for a good start here with 10 at-bats in his history against Anaheim, 100 average against him, 200 OPS, so he's done well. They're only 1 for 10 off him, so May has the advantage here, but of course the Dodgers are a hefty -300 favorite. I don't think you can do anything with that. And then we have the Battle of the Bay Area, the A's against San Francisco. We'll see if any earthquakes happen here. The A's and the Dodgers, by the way, both did play yesterday. I forgot to point that out. Whereas Anaheim and San Francisco are both off yesterday. So Anaheim and San Francisco at least have little rest advantages there. San Diego, Seattle, neither of them played yesterday. And same with Arizona, Colorado, I believe. So A's did play yesterday, but they got absolutely bombed by the Dodgers, 19-2. So that's an embarrassing game. So they're probably going to want to bounce back from that. But J.P. Sears, he is the best starter that the A's have. 2.8 ERA, 1 whip. I mean, those numbers aren't bad. 36-7 strikeout walk ratio is pretty good, even though he's not a strikeout guy. Doesn't walk a lot of guys, way below 1 hit per inning. Coming off a nice start against the Yankees, too, where he faced his former team and did pretty well, and his team actually wound up winning the game after the bullpens really did bad in that game. Against the Giants, not a lot. 32 at-bat sample size. He does have a 10-0 strikeout walk ratio. 250 average, 656 OPS, so not a huge sample size, but Sears has done pretty well against San Francisco. And Logan Webb, I mean, the ultimate grinder, 2.6 ERA, 1.16 whip. He goes the deepest into games out of anybody. He's coming off 2 more 7-inning outings. Not surprising. 15-3 strikeout walk ratio, only 3 runs allowed in those outings. I mean, he's been really good this season overall, too. 65 to a 14 strikeout walk ratio, 50 hits allowed, 55 and a third. Logan Webb, he's an ace. I mean, there's nothing else to say about that. He's the guy that you want. You want him to be out on the mound if they're your team and he's your guy. You definitely want him out there. And he has good numbers against the A's as well in 39 at-bats, 154 average, 354 OPS. So the way that I would look in that game is also to an under, and we're looking at under 7. So the books know the deal there. They're lining that game with a really low total because both pitchers have good numbers this year, and both have good numbers against the opposing lineups here. So I agree with an under in that game. I just haven't quite got there with that one, but I do like that one. I mean, that feels somewhat strong to me. Anyway, that's going to do it, man. So Tower Game Toad on Twitter, patreon.com/Tower Game. Go support the most hilarious podcast out there, and get some Bohemian Grove tickets, man, and go hang out with us in Central Florida. My plays one more time today are the Cleveland Indians, money line on the road there, run line on the Philadelphia Phillies, money line underdog Mets, and under 7.5 Minnesota, Milwaukee. That's going to do it. Have a good one, everybody, and peace out.